Damn, seems I got relegated from the co-host to a speaker. Hi everyone, I hope you hear us good now.
Yo, I think now it should be we should be okay. Um, yeah. All right, we have to restart it all over. Sorry about that. Well,
It's
what
like
do you know?
3 weeks of festivities is not enough for us to solve the streaming, but
Nah,
at
man,
least we
I
are
don't
good
know what
traders.
happened. Yeah, real quick, I don't know what happened. It was all supposed to be set up, and it sort of was set up. But then I don't know if it drains too much. Because I had the stream everything set up through the streaming software and OBS and stuff, and I don't know if it drains too much hardware or which, like we talked about it, it can't actually be because it's a new laptop wrong, or maybe it's both. I definitely set up something wrong, but maybe it's also too much hardware, whatever. So we'll set it up, or we will talk about everything all over again. Which wasn't honestly that much. We just have to repeat a little bit about Iran, and the rest was just introductory chit chat. So
Yeah.
anyway, welcome back everybody who stuck around long enough through the tech issues. We'll have it sorted out until the next time I have to host, because last time Phantom hosted it, and you see, like, Zoomers are just better for this stuff than millennials. Millennials were kind of the boomers of the young people. So there you go.
Which one
Anyway.
is the cutoff between millennials and Zoomers? I feel bad.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, it's just a lot of shit to, man. Yeah, you have to, like, I have to look at the stream, and I have to look at the odds, and I have to listen to you, and I have to fucking repost it from Twitter. Like, this is, I don't know, like, I can't multitask that much. This is worse than crypto trading. I can't do that. I
Yeah,
can
look,
focus only on
but
one thing
seriously,
only. Mm.
I was born 1998. I'm really not sure if I'm still a millennial or if I'm a Gen Z, but the older one. It's really confusing, to be honest. Like being trapped a little bit in between the two main generations.
Yeah, yeah. 1998. This is, yeah. You're like
Like,
two
I don't
years
feel
younger than
exactly
me.
Zoomer, but I don't also feel millennial at all.
Well, it depends, I guess. I mean, depends on, how your personality is, and how you're like. For example, my sister, she's 96. She's more of a millennial, but I have a good friend who's 98. He's definitely a Zoomer. He just he uses Zins, and he's all day in front of the computer because he's also like a coder, and he doesn't really like going out, and he's like much more Zoomery. My sister is kind of like a really boring millennial. She's corporate and that kind of stuff. So I guess when you're, that age range that you are, is really, you fall to either side.
Yeah, I love myself a Zen, but I also don't do a corporate life, so I'm definitely trapped in between.
Yeah. Anyway, um, all right, cool. So welcome back, everybody. I guess we'll pick up just enough people as usual. For now, you're stuck with the fireside chat as usual until next week. We'll have the tech sorted out and everything. So happy New Year, and we'll pick it off right away. So our first topic was Iran. We were talking about Iran, and Prophet mentioned how, yeah, you're not really expecting the US to go in just now, right?
Yeah, what I was basically saying is that I think the US is now in a pretty good space in which they can wait and they can act at the same time. So it's a bit like a strategic ambiguity. They can exert pressure on the regime without actually doing anything at all for the next like 2 or 3 weeks, probably. And then they will have to decide if they really want to engage in another regime change after Venezuela, or if they just take off the pressure and let the region sort itself out. But I don't
Yeah.
see imminent action like we see on the markets. For example, Khamenei out till the end of the month is trading at 18 cents, 18,
Mhm.
19 cents. I think that's crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about going in on the no side. Probably after this call, I will go in the 80s.
So, yeah, now we can't show the market, but we will just walk people through the markets that we're looking at. This is kind of like, just to cap off this Zoomer millennial topic. I don't know if you're probably too young to know this, and I guess many in the audience will be, some maybe not. Like when I was a child, I used to listen to football matches because like football was, it was live on pay TV, but we didn't have pay TV, so you could only listen to it on the radio, or you watch it afterwards, like a couple of hours later, the highlights. So they walk you, through the match and through what's happening, and we're kind of doing the same. This is like a little, like really like a fireside chat, right? So we'll walk you through the market, and I'm now looking at what you mentioned, the U.S. strikes Iran market. So you're saying until the end of the month, nothing ever happens. Then why does the January 31st market trade at 31%, and it looks like it's about to take off? If this was a crypto chart, I would be longing this, not shorting it.
I have no idea why people are so keen on it. I guess like large part of it is the reporting, because we really see a lot of stories about Iran, and I'm not sure if it's coordinated or just news stations hopping on the topic, but there really isn't a lot of indication that something's going to happen. Like there's been a bit of equipment movement, but nothing like before the 12-day war. There's been nothing in terms of posturing, except of Trump tweet like once or twice. So, and the scale of the protest is not really that big. It's smaller than the 2022 or 23 protest when this woman was killed. I don't remember exactly, but it's been pretty huge versus what we're seeing right now.
But is it actually? So, like 2 points here. I guess the first point is, I don't know if you know this site. I don't know if the audience knows it. But I'm monitoring, and it's called fdd.org. I can put a link, or like I can paste you a link after the fireside chat, and they basically track, how many protests there are. You can also see how it compares to 2022. And actually, if you look at, like how many there are and how it compares, they're now like in size, in terms of daily protest count, is comparable already to 2022. And for example, they don't have yesterday on there, and I guess yesterday was the biggest day, and I don't know what's going to happen over the weekend, but it's it's growing quite fast. So I'm not sure, about the size. And the other thing is that you mentioned, I guess with that one, yeah, I sort of agree. US, even Israel, they said, they're on standby, but they don't want to do anything for now. And Trump, which I think is really interesting, people kind of extrapolate now, Trump did something, he talked tough, and then he did something in Venezuela. Now it means, he might do something in the other regions too. And we'll get to Greenland later, but especially with Iran, he said, like, if they kill protesters, then he's going to step in. But yeah, go ahead.
There is a good angle to actually consider yes on some action on Iran, because when you consider that Venezuela was supplying oil mainly to China, and then we have Iran, which is also supplying oil mainly to China, then what you do when you cut off these two is you basically make China dependent on Russia to fulfill its full oil demand. And then if you really try to actually pull Russia away from China, as Trump is supposedly doing with this reverse Nixon thing, some people are pushing, then the whole situation makes a bit of sense, because you essentially make China dependent on either Russia or the US. So there is a pretty good thesis you can make to justify either strikes or a full regime change on Iran. But I do think that the US is a bit too busy to actually execute it perfectly. So I guess, and also on the other hand, like if this is really, really important for China, then they wouldn't really treat Iran as another Venezuela. They would probably send weapons and even some troops, every bit of support they actually can, if it's really that important for them to not lose Iran as a source of oil.
Yeah, with that one, I also agree. And I was wondering, why they're not leaning more on Russia or China, because I think there are real fundamentals that are at play. The regime is definitely weaker than it's ever been. Their economy is completely in shambles. They have, they have allies, but so far their allies are not really that useful. And they're running out of money. Inflation is going crazy. And people, we talked about this on a couple of other streams. They have these $7 stimmy checks. I mean, I don't know what the prices are like in Iran, but I don't know of any single country in the world, where $7 are enough, even for a day. That's not a lot. Even for a day in, like, I don't know, sub-Saharan Africa is maybe enough for a day or for 2-3 days, but definitely not for a month. So I think, all these things, like, I agree. But then, on the other hand, I'm thinking, are these, are their supposed allies really going to do something? And, if they are, why isn't Iran reaching out to them? Because they really need help right now. So it's difficult, man. As long, the more I've been looking up this kind of stuff and the more analysts I follow, and I promised a deep dive on it, but man, this is probably the most complex topic I've come across so far, and this is a really, really complicated market. And I think you can I think this is a market where you are better off if you know just enough but not too much, and you can go off a few heuristics. And sharper people, there are many people on the no side, and interestingly, and I think this is one thing which we should also talk about, a lot of new accounts on the yes side. I think for me, I don't know what's it like for you, but for me, this is the first market where I'm on no, and it feels kind of wrong. And I mean, don't mean wrong in the sense of, like I might lose this, I might lose it, but wrong in the sense of, like I shouldn't really be betting on this. Like, what do you think?
Like, if you mean I shouldn't be betting on it because it's not that obvious, then I will agree with you. Like,
no, I mean, like, from a, sorry to jump in, but from a moral standpoint, like they these people are kind of like, not kind of, but they're fighting for their freedom, and there's a crackdown coming from the regime because they have to, because what else are they going to do? And I don't want to say you're cheering it from it. I mean, I guess it's it's really similar in Ukraine. But this, I don't know, it feels a little bit more vivid. I don't know.
I don't really feel that way. Like, for example, if you're from the US and the US really engages in the regime change, like, you're probably poised to benefit from it, and you even finance it through taxes. So, like, I find all those geopolitical fights really away from me. Like, I don't really consider them moral or not moral. It's just like what these people do. It's just what countries do. So, to survive, to promise their citizens a better future. It's a finite world. We have finite resources. So at least on the short term, like, because on the long term, it's a different case. On the short term, like, everyone competes for the finite amount of resources, and countries will fight with each other, and that's the brutal reality of it. Like, I don't think I would be mad as a Polish person, for example, if someone in the US were betting if Solidarność can manage to topple the communist government in the 1980s. Like, I wouldn't be mad at all.
Well, you wouldn't, but you're based. But there are many people who are not as based as you. So there you go. You never know. And which is interesting that you mentioned this in the 1980s. Because when I was looking at the the images from there, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like 1989 Germany. And I wonder, it's really a strange thing to think about. But I wonder, if Polymarket had been around, back then, just if you take it as a thought experiment, this cartel of sharp traders for sure would all be a no. We'd all be like, nothing ever happens. Communism is here to stay. It's all fine. Yeah, like their economy is kind of shit, but still they've been around for so long. We're going to short vol another time, and one time, then it's it works until it doesn't. So this is the interesting thing with these. I think it's a profitable strategy to bet no in this specific instance. Also, even though you might be wrong, but just in general, to bet no on these geopolitical events. But you have to be comfortable with losing every once in a while, because it's going to happen. So connected to that, just one more thing about trading strategy, which I think we should talk about. What do you think about, because I'm actually really curious, and I'm also curious, if someone in the audience has any thoughts on that, feel free to chip in the comments and we'll talk about it, or we can even invite you on stage. What do you think about how the spread in the markets works? So for example, take again, US strikes in Iran by end of the month, 31%, but then end of Q2, which is June 30th, 53%. So it's not really, the difference isn't that big, but you get another 5 months extra, and you can see the same thing happening across different markets, also across, the Khomeini out market. Obviously, the difference there is a little bit bigger. But you see, this short-term gambling, really. And I wonder, there are two sides to this medal, right? On the one hand, you think, okay, I can step in from the no side. People are, just trying to buy this up, to trade the narrative. And this is a good opportunity to fade, and it's better, much better APY if you go no on a short strike than on the longer one. But then if you're a yes trader, you can also think, I don't really need to believe in whether this happens. I only need enough other people to believe is going to happen. So it's a pure narrative trade. It's a pure shitcoin, right? So it can, even if you don't believe something will happen, it can make more sense to buy the shorter strike, just based off, this narrative forming, and something does really happen. I mean, there are real protests, but I guess you see where I'm going with this, right? It's better to buy the narrative than to buy the actual fundamental change. So what's your strategy trading these?
Yeah, I think that since at least Venezuela strikes or military engagement, I think that was the market. We see that the shorter term markets get a lot more volatility than the longer ones. This was exactly the same case. Like at the end of your market, it was moving from 70 to 20 cents per share on ES, and the longer dated market moved between, I think, 30 something to 50 something. So the difference was massive, and the difference was 3 months. And I got burned on the Venezuela market. So my strategy, if I was a yes better, would be just to buy the longer timeline, and to not care really about timing the market. But if I was a no better, I wouldn't touch the longer dated markets. I would only trade on a shorter term and try to snipe the price on some headline.
But this is I agree with you. This is my strategy too, or my my approach, really. But this only works if you try to trade the fundamentals. Because if you don't try to trade the fundamentals, then you don't have to do that.
Yeah, I can't really speak on other strategy, because that's basically fundamentals is what I do. I don't think I would be a good momentum trader, or a news clicker or whatever. So probably it's best you don't hear my theories on this.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. Anyway, we'll move on, because we could talk only about Iran for the full hour, and probably longer, because there's so much to talk about, and we'll probably be talking about it on many more streams to come. But since you mentioned Venezuela, there are some interesting things happening there as well. So I'm pulling up now the Maria Corina Machado enters Venezuela market, and I'm going to admit that I got taken down on both sides of this trade. So first I bought the yes, I bought it very high. I think I mentioned this with Phantom. I bought it very high, tried to average down, and then I just took the loss like a man. But lo and behold, then yesterday, the managing or acting president, she announced that they're releasing political prisoners, and there's a bunch of like apparently high-level people they're releasing, like actual opposition figures. And then obviously overnight, Trump came out. I don't know if this was known beforehand. I hadn't heard about it, or might have been, but he came out, saying that she will come to the US next week. And they're going to share the Nobel Peace Prize, which, this is an entirely different discussion. But obviously, with these two things in mind, she's going to be in the US, and they're releasing all these political prisoners. What do you think about the now already 30 cents on her to return to Venezuela this month? Yes or no? Long or short?
I think it's likely. I wouldn't enter this market. It's too speculative for me. But I would rather want to be on yes than no at these prices if I were to enter.
What's your fair value then?
Probably something in the high 30s, so not far away.
So you're saying like fair value about here, but if you had to pick one, you'd pick rather yes.
I think it depends on the meeting with Trump. So, for example, if the meeting goes well and Trump suddenly finds her valuable, I would say the chances of her going to Venezuela this month would rise significantly. But if the meeting is mostly a nothing burger, with some ceremonials and just nice words and shake of hands, then that would probably lower my current fair value estimate.
Okay, I'll take the complete opposite position of you. I think the meeting doesn't really matter all that much, or almost. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a nothing burger because almost all of Trump's meetings are sort of nothing burgers. But I think what matters much more is actually two things: her relationship with Rubio and whether Rubio allows or wants her to go there. Because if because he is now sort of the project manager for this thing, right? So if he tells her, no, don't go there now, we don't need you there, this is just going to create trouble, then obviously she wouldn't. I mean, I would imagine she wouldn't act against his wishes. But if he sort of green lights it to her, then there's not really much stopping her, right? Because if they're releasing all these political prisoners, and I think this is the much more important thing than the meeting with Trump, then why wouldn't she be there too? But my initial thought was actually that. So that might have been correct. My initial impulse that she should go there now and be present as soon as possible. But then my second thought was apparently they don't want her there now, and they're just going to keep a lid on all the political stuff. So maybe she won't go. But now it turns out that they are releasing these prisoners, so maybe she will go after all. So I think this is a very interesting market. I just lost on both sides, and I have a rule: if I lose on a market on both sides, I don't enter it anymore because then you're too emotionally burdened.
Yeah, at least for me, Machado was always the weak part of my thesis on Venezuela strikes. I saw all of her interviews post the Nobel Peace Prize, and she was really bullish on having all kinds of support, even 80% of the police, a lot of military, etc. I always doubted those statements. Then we learned that the CIA also doubted them. But the US went in anyway, and they're trying to do a deal with Delcy. But it all seems like will just go to shit sooner or later, by the end of the year. It seems there's no real concrete plan, a real concrete force that can actually enforce the plan, and it's now just purely vibes and bluffs. And if anyone anywhere dares to call the bluff, then we will learn that there is nothing tangible there.
I think so too. Yeah, with this, I agree. I've been,
for example, I was really one click away from opposing the Delcy to be the leader of Venezuela by the end of the year, because the odds are so high, and it's 9th of January. There are over 300 days till the end of the year.
So you think 50 is too high now? So I should sell because I'm on yes, but I'm on yes for much lower.
You should sell. Like I wanted to oppose this. I'm just a bit backing away from everything right now as I want to like construct my portfolio for this year. Stabilized now, and I do think this is a good no addition. I see it this way.
I mean, I sort of agree. I was initially looking for like a 2. There was my first thought was like a 2x because I bought it in the low 20s, right? And then we got the 2x rather quickly. And I have also like another heuristic. If you're up a lot in a short period of time and you don't really know why, well, I know here I kind of know why, but it's also up a lot in a week, right? Then you should probably at least take some profit. Maybe not close it all, but at least take some profit, and that's what I've been doing. You're right. It looks to be topping about this Machado pump now. I agree with you that they'll see. It's if you take it from 1 year out, yes. I agree that 50 is probably rather on the high than the low side.
The thing with this market is that I wouldn't want to back anyone, but probably on a long enough, like considering how volatile Venezuela is, I would probably want to oppose everyone or almost everyone. Because so much can happen in a country when you've got millions of AK-47s that were being gave out years ago. You've got colectivos that are armed to the teeth. You've got Colombian paramilitias. You've got the Chavista regime, which is also fragmented between themselves. Like all these factions will fight for power sooner or later.
Yeah.
And like betting that someone can actually survive it in power 12 months from now, for me, is crazy.
I mean, I agree. It's
I would probably buy right now. No, like, why not?
Well,
like I'll buy a small amount, just so not to be empty words. Like I will buy like a.
Well, you can have my bags on. I have them on Kalshi. I have some asks up on Kalshi if you want to take them. Oh no, shit! But then you have to buy. Yes, sorry. You want the other side? Well, never mind. Then just do on Polymarket.
I just buy like a fair but small amount. No, just not to be empty worded here.
I mean, yeah, like I see where you're coming from. I really don't disagree. I didn't even disagree with it initially. The thing is like what we mentioned on the other market, right? It's the perception of something happening and it actually happened. And there was someone in my comment section, and we can pick up on this as well with because I mentioned this yesterday, and I promised I'd talk about it with Israel and Iran. That you have all these new accounts now on the yes side, specifically in Iran. In Venezuela is less the case. But there you have all these new accounts coming in on the yes side, and they might just be regular retail, or they might be whatever, like crypto degens. I guess these two are the same thing. Or they might be, someone who just. Whoop. Oh, you're back. Oh, sorry, I got kicked out.
Yeah, I'm back.
All right,
but
cool.
I have 300 shares of no on Dalsy, so I'm not empty worded now.
All right. Anyway, just to wrap up my thought here, it's like you have all these new accounts on the yes side, and then people scream, or at least on the timeline you see it like insider. Well, with some of these markets, we talked about this many times, so I don't want to repeat myself, but in Venezuela you had these presumed insiders many times beforehand, and then eventually someone got it right. Maybe he was an insider, maybe he wasn't. I guess we'll not know for now, at least. But you'll have this happen many more times. But what's even more important is that you can pump the price rather cheaply, because these markets are really tiny, right? Someone with a couple mil can already pump the price easily, and you can create an outsized perception. You get a very good ROI on pumping the price because it gets amplified by, well, even normal accounts on Twitter. And they posted like, look at how much the odds for the Ayatollah being out are up. And then, Elon, because Elon is terminally online, he will retweet that. And that's how you get a narrative going. And this is then a very, very cheap and also simple way of doing actual psyops. So my point here really is, and this is what someone mentioned in my comment section, is when you bet these things, when you bet them, you can bet something with confidence, and then you can be right, or then it's important that you're right quickly. But if you bet on the fundamentals, you have to be willing and able to wait for the truth, because eventually the oracle, the real world oracle, might resolve to what you think will fundamentally happen, like it was in the case in Venezuela. But you have to be able to hold through the dip if your thesis is really that strong. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I agree completely with you, and that's usually been the case. I think that was the case with Ukraine ceasefire last year, and I think this year with Venezuela. I should have bought probably the longer timelines earlier, but I didn't, and that's a mistake. So yeah, not sure what to add more here. I think I like overstated what I wanted to say.
Sure. Well, the third one that we have to talk about is let me pull up. There's even a full tab for it now, because why the hell not? Greenland. So there are a lot of interesting markets, and I guess we can also hear, because it's interesting and different enough, pull up Kalshi as well. So on Polymarket, you have the will Trump acquire Greenland before 2027? 16% now. And then you have will the US acquire part of Greenland in 2026? Is actually the same price, 70%. So rules are quite long. I'm looking at the rules, but presumably this would be, like transfer of sovereignty. So it could either be Denmark selling or Trump, annexing something. And then the other one, I don't know, they sound very similar without, reading through the full rules. And then the interesting thing is on Kalshi, you have different markets because they are for the entirety of Trump's term. So we have them until 2029. And there's US taking control at 40% for sort of both markets. Again, like two very similar markets. What do you think about those? We had those, I think, at the beginning of 2025. And if I'm not mistaken, we mentioned those in our last stream, the last or the second to last stream before the break. And I said something, either me or you said something, like Greenland will come back next year. And here we are, first stream, Greenland is back. So what do we make of that?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of having all those topics come back at once, but it does seem that that the US is ready to do something more about Greenland, and probably they should, like looking at the overall strategy they are doing. And as some have been saying, because I'm not the original, this is not my original thought, but like even buying over Greenlanders, let's call them that way, is not that expensive. Like there are 55K of them. You can pay $1 million each, and it's not really that expensive to actually get them on your side. So I think something will happen, but will it be an acquisition? I'm not sure. I think it will be some sort of agreement, at least between Denmark and the US. And if it's not an acquisition, it will involve full access of US military to the island.
But they already have that, don't they?
Like, not really, because they, for example, cannot build new bases as they come. That probably in the new agreement they should have this this addition that that they're free to build whatever they want if it's for military purposes.
I mean, yeah, I guess the thing is, like Denmark, they are still not on the you can just do things side of things. They are not aware that you can just do things. They can't. I think they constitutionally they can't sell. That's at least what I heard. I haven't
Yeah,
looked
but
into it
what can they
in
do
detail.
if the US just comes there and takes it? Like realistically.
I mean, what they could do is very simple. They don't have the balls to do that, but they put up, like 100 soldiers there and tell them to, in case of enemies or someone there who cannot be identified as friend, they have not only the right but the obligation to shoot them. And you basically they don't start a war over it, but like sort of like a
And do you see
military
them
incident.
doing that?
They obviously wouldn't do it, in my opinion, because they don't have the balls to do it. But it's actually a very, very small price to pay, for, or like it's a rather small risk on Denmark's part, but it's an enormous risk on the US part if Denmark were to, actually, if those soldiers were to actually pull the trigger. Because, if American and Danish soldiers started shooting on each other, which I don't think it would happen, but nowadays you can't exclude anything. I think the repercussions would be massive, and it would also tank the markets. And I think this is something, like the markets nowadays, they don't react to anything anymore, or all the crazy things that Trump does. But something like this, I think this would really rattle the markets, at least for a while. And this would be a major, major, major incident. So
Yeah, if it ever were to happen, but I think they will come to agreement earlier. Like the US will come in, say what they really want, and Denmark eventually will agree to whatever it is actually that is really necessary, and that will be the end of it.
So before 2027 or not?
Acquisition, I wouldn't back it, but I wouldn't oppose it as well. I would back, like, if there was a market on some kind of increased presence on Greenland or anything indicative of a deal that is short of acquisition.
I think this is
that would be an ideal market for me. This will be market I will back probably into very high prices, but acquisition, at least for now, is too uncertain, like too chaotic. There's no really a good way to pinpoint the exact fair value right now.
I think this is a good market. I'm pretty sure they'll open a derivative on that, because it's also now, at least for now, it's fairly liquid. So with these fairly liquid markets, I'm open to playing derivatives on these. I have a little bit of no, but I don't like the timeline, and Polymarket these days, you can, if I compare, Greenland, end of year strike, no, to Iran end of month strike, no. Obviously, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but still, if you consider both are the same tactic, right? Both are the nothing ever happens tactic, and I'd rather try to play it for something short dated. So my thinking and my approach nowadays is, especially with all these crazy narrative pumps and then just getting more and more and more, it doesn't, I just don't like to step in on things that are longer than even 3 months. 3 months, I'm not even following my own advice because I have it in Iran, but I should be. Even 6 months is too long for me to step in on something with no. And I think Greenland is kind of the same thing. I think it's too high. I think he won't, they won't get anything done this year. I think this will fade, out of the headlines in, I guess, a few days already. But it will just hover around, like 10 cents. So how much upside do you really get? If you have low 80s like I do, then it goes to 90, and then what do? Do you sit on it for the entire year and maybe hold to another dip because at some point he'll pick it up? Or do you sell there? But then how much money did you really make of that? It's 8 cents on the dollar. It's not that great. So yeah, I don't really like those long dated no options. This is my takeaway here.
Yeah, that's true. I think also that prediction markets really make you immune to normal gains. Like you look at 10-12% on a bond in a year and you say it's a bad result, but when you look at those trad finance accounts, they do like 15% a year and they say it's awesome. So that's pretty funny, but I do understand what you mean, because there are so many good opportunities that it doesn't really make sense if you don't have like excess capital, because there is not enough liquidity to put into those kinds of markets.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's move on to one more topic, and then I guess we can still pick up the high five, which I then have to introduce one more time, but that's okay. Last one we had on our list was, well, just craziness, overall craziness in the US. I haven't been following it that much because there's just only so many things you can follow, even if you're online all day, like I am, and I guess you are as well. But there's people getting shot by ICE, and Somalians apparently scamming Minnesota, and then Tim Walz is at least not running for governor again, but maybe he'll resign. We can pull up this market in a minute. So what's your overall take and impression? Have you been following the US, and what do you think? Which market should we talk about there? Because there are so many.
I didn't really follow the ICE shootings. I did follow a bit scams in Minnesota. I think this is pretty wild, but also nothing extraordinary if you're from Eastern Europe. I do. Like,
why is that? You have to
hear,
elaborate on that one.
Like I heard of so many scams from public finances, be it like pure financing or some grants, anything like Polish or generally Eastern Europeans are experts in extracting government money for nothing. So, but I would love to have some American here try to say something about those markets. I think that would be really valuable, because us two Europeans talking about very domestic American markets, I don't think we'll get this quite right.
Yeah. And
so if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak and give their thesis, I think that would be a great moment.
Absolutely, yeah. Just request to speak, and we can invite you up to the stage. Meanwhile, I'll pull up. Let me see. So there's Minnesota unrest, and there's a bunch of markets there. Let's pull up so one market that I traded a little bit just before like everything just went crazy was the daycare fraud, and maybe we can talk about this for a moment because you said you followed it and I didn't really follow it. So what was actually going on there? I traded this market for like 5 cents or something. I just saw something on the timeline. There was like something with fraud, did something. So I figured, this is probably the current thing on the right. I really didn't know what was going on. And I saw it was around 50-50. It was in the old year. So I think I stepped in it, and it was really tiny at just a few thousand shares. I think it was around 60, or rather, 40 for no on January 31st for anyone being charged for the daycare fraud. And then I sold it for 10 cents or something. It was really nothing. Because I figured, I don't know what I'm doing. I just got a couple of cents. That's okay. And now it's down to 18 cents. But still the long timeline, so end of year is super illiquid, but it's still 85%. So what's actually going on? What happened there?
So from what I understand, some YouTuber went around Minnesota and figured out there are a lot of daycare centers that actually are not taking care of any child and any children at all. And they're just sitting there, not taking in anyone, and taking government subsidies, so state subsidies in this case, to operate. And it turned out that most of the operators of those daycare centers were Somali immigrants. So you figure out how this is catnip for the right wing, I would say. But anyway, this is a very interesting story, because also Tim Walz is implicated somehow. It's his state. He should be aware because the fraud is supposedly in the billions of dollars.
Mm.
And it's a bit funny that only a year ago he was a VP candidate. So I guess a pretty tense situation between the before the midterms, and a very, very good argument for the Republicans to use just during the campaign.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there was like
They
actual
really
fraud, you
did get
say?
up from the Epstein drama, I would say. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. It's funny. Yeah, the Epstein thing, like nothing actually happened there in the end, at least for now. But you're saying there was actual fraud.
yeah, like that's what I understand. That they took money to operate the daycare centers, and then they didn't operate them. So that's obviously a scam of sorts.
I see. Okay. So anyway, then I guess I was right for selling, because this is another one of my heuristics. You know, when you bet on something and you don't really actually know what you're betting on, then when you're up, you like keep it small, and when you're up, just take profit. And when you're down, then very quickly you will probably understand that you shouldn't have been involved in this market in the first place. So yeah. Right. So let's pick up a couple of questions. I don't know if we had someone requesting to speak. So again, offer still stands. If someone wants to join us on stage, and just fill us in a little bit on what's going on in the US, you know, Tim Walz, people getting shot by ICE, just overall craziness, because we had a lot of, you know, geopolitical craziness, but I guess neither of us pretends to be the expert on domestic policy craziness. Just request to speak, and we will invite you on stage. One question I saw in the comments, Phantom was nice enough to paste the question, and I think this is also a good segue now to our high five. So my initial idea is, before we had a couple of tech hiccups, but we'll get that sorted out, and next week we'll be live with these, and then you can also follow it along visually. We'll have a new segment called High Five, and it's going to be me and the guests, which will probably often be Prophet, but I guess sometimes we'll also have other guests on Friday, talking about markets and predicting which price the market is going to be trading at a week from now. And you can also chip in with these. So if you want a market where we should predict where it's trading at a week from now, then just, you know, leave a reply, leave a comment, and we'll pick up this market. And I'll just take Phantom's comment now on the US strikes Mexico market as the first one to predict. So let me pull it up real quick, because I think it was in the Trump tab. I just had it a second ago. Here we are. The US strike on Mexico buy. I don't know, Phantom didn't really say which timeline. I'll take the most liquid one, which is the short one. They're all kind of illiquid. But anyway, it's 16% until the end of the month, 25 until Q1, and 37 for the entire year. And obviously this pumped quite a lot because Trump overnight, he came out, he was on Fox, I think he was talking to Hannity, and he said they're going to hit Mexico soon because of the cartels, and he doesn't like the cartels. So this pump, this almost long one, doubled. And I think the January one, it was where it was from 1 cent to now what, 16 cents. Again, super illiquid, but still, if you're a trader who trades, you know, who's trying to build their bankroll, these are actually great markets to be looking at, not the really big ones. So what do you think? Let's take the January 31st strike. A week from now, what's it going to trade at?
7 cents.
7, eh? But okay, let's take let's take, maybe it's one market, so I think it's a fair comparison. End of year.
End of year
37 now. Come again?
I would really say like pretty similar, a bit lower, but like 35, something like this.
25. Okay, all right. I should be taking notes on these, because otherwise I'll forget 100%. So
do we do a comparison between us, or is it just me doing
I guess, yeah, this is it's a good idea. We should probably keep like track somehow. Maybe at some point these will be so popular. Hopefully this will be so popular we'll have markets on us making predictions. Who knows? But you're saying okay, so 7 cents end of January and 35 end of year. Well, I'm going to go with what's today? 9, so we have 2 more weeks left. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. Maybe what's he at? Like, I think next week he's talking to Machado, so Venezuela will be in the headlines still. I'll go a little bit higher, like 11. Let's do 12. 12 for end of January. I think it will stay in the headlines a bit. Especially with her coming over. December, I could actually see it's trade around, yeah, probably same like you, 35. So I think, yeah, the short end stays a bit higher, and the long end, I agree with you. I think the long end stays around the same. Do you think it's going to happen?
I think there's a good chance it will happen. I don't have like a made thesis yet, but I do see the rationale. I do see the precedents, and I also see that Trump doesn't like the current president of Mexico, so that's probably also a good indication that that is likely. Like everything points to, like there's no negative really for Trump not to do it. Like it's probably be a good move domestically wise, and nothing will really hurt internationally if this is something like Nigeria, so like agreed to with the Mexican government.
No, no. I don't know. I thought they're getting along kind of well. I thought he said he likes her, but he also likes many people and then doesn't give a damn about what they think. So there you go. I actually think the 35 end of year, it's not bad. Now, obviously, it's just one headline, so I would probably wait for a retrace of some sorts. But I would be looking to get in on that. Maybe low 20s or something, because I don't really see what would hold him back. But yeah.
Like the only wild card here is Venezuela, because if Venezuela goes to shit, then probably all other minor projects in the Western Hemisphere will be stopped for the time being.
Yeah, no. All right, next one. Kevin Hassett to be nominated as Fed chair. Right now, 36. A week from now, what's it going to trade at?
Hassett at 36. That's not the market I'm involved in, but let's just do a wild guess. Hassett of 37.
I mean, it could be, a week from now, he could be at 0 or 100. You don't know, because he said why I picked it, because he said he already knows his choice, and then 30 minutes later, headline from Steve Besant, Scott Besant, we haven't actually interviewed the last candidate, so he was like, no, wait. And he said like he hasn't revealed it yet, but he knows his choice. So within a week, he might have already told us.
Can we do ranges here, or do we set the specific price?
I'd say like just a price point.
Okay, then let's do 60.
60. Okay, so you think market is going to be increasingly sure that it is
volatility, and it's a bet from me on volatility going into Hassett direction next Friday.
Yeah.
So it's not like I think this will be Hassett or Waller or Warsh. It's just I see all of those three names coming back at some point, and it's just a bet on Hassett coming back on Friday.
Yeah. I was surprised that the market actually didn't react at all to him saying yesterday, he knows his choice. To me, this sounded still like it's just a repeat of what he's been saying all along. So this was more of an indication that he would pick Hassett. So I would agree, but I'd go lower. I don't think will know a week from now. I think like 48. Let's pick 48. I bought some Hassett hedges. I hope it's not him, but I could really see it happen. I'm surprised the market is now. First, the market was overconfident in Hassett, and now market is kind of confident that Trump would change his mind. And I don't know. I think he's feeling good about himself. You know, he took up Maduro. He told the New York Times that he's only constrained by his own morals or the lack of them. I'm not sure, man. He could really pick Hassett, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, but I think we are heading in the same direction, like on all the markets we are doing. So either up or down, we agree on the trend.
Yeah, for now at least. Will the Iranian regime fall before 2027? So end of year market right now, 40. Next week,
high 40s, I would say.
oh, higher even.
Oh yeah, I think they'll really drive the topic through the headlines for the next few days.
Interesting.
Like now it's still peaking. I wouldn't say we reached the top in terms of what can be reported.
Interesting.
And
Because
I think that positive reporting on volatile situation makes the odds go higher.
I mean, it's a good argument, but if I look at the order book, at least right now, obviously this could change within a minute. But there's a couple of people stepping in on the no side. I think it'll be a little bit shorter. I think it'll be 32. Think it'll go. I think the protests are here to stay. I don't know about the intensity, but I think yeah, it doesn't go away for sure, but this is the first peak. So around the next few days or so, I would expect the first peak and some sort of crackdown is coming. Apparently there was already stuff happening yesterday, where they killed a bunch of people, and I think over the weekend this might continue. So yeah, I guess we'll see. But it's for sure a topic that's there.
We are in the reverse. You're saying we are seeing moving down. I'm seeing a trend up.
I think it'll move down a little bit. I think it will stay rather high, but yeah, I would expect to move down a little bit. But I might also just be talking my own book because I have a lot of risk now on this one, so I don't really like it. Let's pick one that you mentioned in your newsletter, and if anyone is not following Prophet, then you really should be following him because he puts out some good stuff. And I think a topic no one is following too much right now with all this stuff going on. But Portugal election, and I think this is, let me see, is happening when exactly?
On the 18th, so next Sunday.
Okay, so okay, interesting. So, but 18th is the first round, right? And then the runoff is a week later.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later. Okay. All right. Well, so let's pick the favorite, Mendes. 42 now. A week from now, what's he going to trade at?
A week from now, just before the election, I think lower.
How much?
So let me pull up the market.
So it's 42 now, and it's basically in free fall from 79, just down only.
Let's say in the 30s. Like I would put him around Segura, so they should trade around the same.
Okay, so 32, you're saying.
A little lower even if the trend continues on the pulse, but I think it will.
Okay, interesting. All right, 32. Since I haven't followed this at all, I have absolutely no clue. I'm only looking at the chart and the bid around 40. I am going to say, well, Seguro is like super illiquid, man. There's no money trading him at all. I really have no clue. I'll say I don't know, 52. I think, I don't know, I guess he reverses. Someone wants to bid around 40 and a lot of money for this market. So I guess they have a reason to do that. So I would expect some sort of bounce here.
Okay. That's
But then
interesting.
again, no, I have no clue, no idea, and I have no more money
Yeah,
to
I don't want to
deploy.
reveal the entirety of my thesis, but yeah, that's enough to say.
All right. One more markets. Let me see if someone suggested something. Not really. So I don't know. You have any wishes? Which one should we pick for last? Could be the one that we talked about or another one. Let me check what's being rewarded.
Topics, but maybe U.S. strike on Iran. I think there is a hot market on it.
Okay. Oh, right. I think I didn't. That was what I initially proposed. Let's take Israel. Right. That was my initial idea. Israel strike on Iran, by the end of the month, because this is the supposed insider market, right? There was some insider reaction, or maybe not. No one knows. Maybe it's just psyops. But end of month, Israel strikes Iran right now, 32 to buy. Next week, what's it going to be at?
22. Oh, let's call it 22.
Okay, 22. I hope you're right. I'm on no, and I'm already underwater. Man, I really don't like the Middle East. Man, the first time it dips like a lot. I don't want to hold most of these. I'll hold all of the January ones. I'll hold them into expiry. But even the Q1, not so impressed. And then I have something for like end of June. I think Ayatollah end of June. Bro, I really don't like it. It's I don't know. I get involved with these, but yeah. But I agree with you.
I need to run soon, but like I have a similar feeling this year because like last year I was fine buying even end of year markets like Ukraine ceasefire. This year I think it's a lot more chaotic. I'm not really comfortable on such a long timeline.
Yeah.
Like at least like I think we need some like at least a small period of stabilization before where I can be comfortable in actually going on the longer dated markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think, unfortunately for myself, I think it's going to stay around where it is really. So let's say 28. I don't know what my entry was. I think it was around that price, so I might sell there. But yeah, 28 for that one. If you gotta hop off, that's cool. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sticking with me and the tech issues. And again, we'll sort it out all next week. Any last words from your side?
Not really. Thanks for having me, and it was really nice coming here in the new year with almost the new tech. So thanks for everyone listening, and hopefully see you soon.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Cool. So yeah, not much more left really from my side either. Unless someone has any cool topics, questions. Still open to invite someone else on stage if you want to talk either about US or about something else. I can invite you up. And otherwise, yeah, I hope you liked at least the new segment. We sort of introed it a little bit. Again, for those people that didn't stick through all of the spaces, we wanted to do a stream initially, but then I messed up the tech a little bit, so there was still no graphics, no cool, like basically you would have just, looked at the charts and looked at myself, so you can always just listen in. And I hope you like the high five, and we'll try to think of new segments too, and especially because we want to have more guests. Profit will be coming on quite a bit, but we'll have other guests too, and we'll be looking to do different stuff with them. So yeah, I don't know. I guess that's really all from my side. We've been going quite a bit, but there's also been a lot of stuff happening, and I still have a lot of work with Venezuela. and you can expect a deep dive. Well, I don't know if I get it done tonight, but at least until Monday. And then another one until God knows when. Around maybe end of next week, hopefully end of next week. And then Fed Chair 2. I hope Trump doesn't announce too quickly. And yeah, that's it. Next week, I think I have to talk to Phantom, but we should be on, if I'm not mistaken, on Monday. And Phantom hosts, so tech should be working. We'll be back with everything all smooth. And otherwise, any last takers? If I guess there's nobody, then I'll also check out. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for listening to us, and I hope you picked up some useful bits and pieces of knowledge and were entertained. And I'll talk to you on, I guess, Monday, and with Profit next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.